Hi, good morning. Through frustration, through uh, yesterday's finished batch, um, been pulling loads on schedule, and as you can see, I'm running a lot of stage ones. I've got 6 barrels, so this is the vibe. I've got A, B, C, 2 barrels each. I'm using the the ones I deemed worthy of stage stage 2 vibratory. I want to definitely work again. You know, when we get stones like this, I definitely want them beautifully shined. I don't want them hazy. So um, we're going to talk process. Sorry if your screen's not switching. All right, that's a 6090 stage 1. That's a silicon carbide. All right, staying in the family of silicon carbide for 4 stages, just moving to a much softer grit each stage. So from a 6090, this is actually the 100, 120. That's the first stage for the vibratory. That's the most coarse grit you can get into the vibratory tumbler. So we're going to do a lot of smoothing with the 6090. And we're going to go to the 100, 120 silicon carbide. I actually have a load in right now. I turned everything off for the moment so I can get this process captured for you. So then we're going to move from the 120 to 100, 120 silicon carbide to the 120, 220 silicon carbide. And that's actually stage 2 for the rotary. So we're moving from stage 1 rotary, stage 1 vibratory, stage 2 in the rotary. And this is actually stage 3 in the, no, I'm sorry, that's stage 2. Silicon carbide, stage 2 in the vibratory. Now my stage 3 is a 500 silicon carbide. I don't want to move to a 500 after a 700. So we're going to use what the vibratory Raytech recommends on their process for the final 2 stages. That's the SCGR Lolox and the hardstone polish. Now you're supposed to use like 2 teaspoons of any of these in this process. I'm not a teaspoon guy. I've been using tablespoons, and I kind of overfill them. What I've noticed for this machine is that the thicker the slurry, the slower the movement. So then we're adding water, and then I'm going to talk for a second. Hold on. All right, and this is actually going to be better done with a little bit of the movement. So I'm going to turn this on in a minute after I explain. So without much water in here, you're not getting any clockwise movement. If you've got too much water in there, you're only getting clockwise movement. It's the balance between the two, and they say 4 ounces of water to start this, but that's considering that you have dry rock. So if you're putting stuff in damp, I put them in damp and wet, and I spray it with this to get it into the proper movement. So it's got to have this movement. It's going to drop them in the middle, and it's going to circulate them back and pull them back out around this back wall and drop them back out and keep pulling them back in and down and around. And it has that north to west circular movement. Also, it has the I guess west to east or east to west circular movement clockwise. So the two of those have to be moving together for fluid movement. Now, in their stage 1, they don't recommend any of the media. I put in some of my, these are all hand selected. They're all clear and quartzy and whatever it is, they had some type of beauty. I spent 2 years collecting these, so I'm using that for the most part of some of the media in this coarser stage for the 100, 120 silicon carbide. Now I'm going to grind up some of this stuff in this process, but I'm more and more worried about that movement, and to achieve that with the difference in sizes, it just fit in there nicely and helped it move properly. So this machine is great. You know, once you get it going, if there's too much water, what I've been doing is suctioning the water out with one of these, and then I have one for each stage, and it seems to be working great. You know, if you're only getting this kind of movement and not much of this movement with it, pull some water out and then spray the rocks, because without them being wet, they're not actually going to be moving fluidly. So they actually have to be wet in the process, and so on and so forth. So, you know, once you get it running good, it's best to just leave it alone. You know, if you check it at that 12-hour mark and it's still running good, don't touch it. Don't mess with it. Just check back on it, you know, incrementally after that. The machine's been running great. Any of the finishing that I'm running into is where I'm failing. So, you know, when we've got beautiful stones, it's got beautiful blue crystal in it. You know, I don't want things like that coming through the process looking like this. I'm as crushed as the stone, you know? So we're going to figure it out, and we'll keep sharing our process, our failures and our successes. Thank you very much for joining me.